What's up, and welcome back to another live stream with Gizmos the Tech. Today we're taking a look at the top 50 deals for Black Friday, and this has just been freshly updated. This is like morning of Black Friday, so I think all of the deals are pretty much going to be in there. There might be a couple more on Cyber Monday, and I expect maybe some of these deals will last throughout the weekend or for a few days, maybe even for the next week or so. I don't know. We'll have to see. But the deals, since I did my last live stream, about 2/3 of them were still valid today, and a couple of them dropped in price. There's also been a number of new deals that have been popped in, probably about 10 new deals or so in the mix, and we're going to redo our tier list and see how we are going, or how we're doing today. Anyway, so links are in the description to every single laptop I talk about today, and there's also the laptop list, which is linked down below, which we'll be using today as a reference for all the images and videos, or sorry, all the images, and there's also links on that laptop list. And as I do continuous updates, you can check that laptop list for new top deals, even if I haven't made an updated video. So, without further ado, Rocky, you're being so chill. This is so nice. Let me just check chat and make sure that we're good to go. I appreciate all of your support. And if you guys want to help support me and my team that help put together this list and all these deals, because it takes many hours to do, please use the links in the description down below or the links on the laptop list if you do decide to pick up one of these laptops. And we tried our best to make it the most comprehensive list that we could possibly do. So hopefully you find this helpful. And today we're also going to be putting them into a tier list from SS ratings all the way down to D or F. And there's only a handful of these that are going to go down to the D and F category because pretty much this is like the best of the best deals. Like we've looked at hundreds of deals, and then out of those hundreds of deals, these are the top 50, right? So, we're going to kind of go into just the basic specs of each laptop, why it's a good deal, and whether it's actually a really amazing deal or if it's kind of mediocre, because some of these are kind of mediocre deals and they're going to be more in the B, C category, and you could probably maybe even find better deals later on for those laptops. But there are quite a few S and SS tier deals for sure. The SS is going to be reserved to our top 5 deals for today. The S tier will be reserved for our just phenomenal value, best in the year value in terms of like, these companies are really competing to sell laptops right now, and that's going to be the S tier. A tier is going to be a very, very good deal, which may be more like a premium laptop that's not like super discounted. And the last thing I want to mention too, before we get into the tier list, is right now I think is going to be the best time to buy because memory prices are going up. AI companies have purchased a ton of RAM modules as well as VRAM for servers and data infrastructure. That's going to impact laptop pricing, I believe, next year significantly. And right now you can get 32 gig and 64 gig laptops for pretty reasonable prices. So especially if you're trying to go for higher amounts of memory, all the way up to like 196 or 192, I believe, gigs, like that is going to be extremely expensive. Like if you were to try to upgrade your laptop currently, like if you get a Legion 9i, you get it with 32 gigs and you try to upgrade it to 192, it's extremely expensive right now to do that. So it's usually in this scenario going to be better to buy your RAM upgrades and buy your laptop with more RAM if you want to get more RAM. Just buy it out of the gate right now because the pricing on these deals has not gone up much or pretty much at all yet because of the RAM shortage. So now is the time to buy before the RAM shortage ramps the prices of these laptops up higher, in my opinion, okay? And plus, another good reason to buy, Best Buy has a phenomenal return policy. There's no new RTX laptop GPUs that I'm aware of coming out in CES, so in a month. There will be some new models likely to come out, and those may be worth considering, but basically we got the top tier specs that we're gonna get. Probably maybe some new CPUs that'll be worth considering, but GPU-wise, it's gonna be the same for the next year or so, I think. And then maybe in 2027, the beginning of that year, CES will probably get new RTX 6000 series GPUs. So now is a very good time to buy because you get all the latest stuff at discount prices before the RAM price hikes hit laptop market. But yeah, okay. Let me just check chat, make sure that we're good. 196 gigs of RAM, are you kidding me? Yeah, well that's for like someone who wants to do AI. applications or, something similar, hey buddy. Or they're trying to run lots of VMs or, virtual machines. That's the kind of person that would want a ton of RAM modules. So, but that would be super expensive to buy in like after the fact. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into this. Starting with one of the worst deals of today, but it is the cheapest laptop on the list. And so I want to make sure I cover it because a lot of people will accidentally buy this thinking it's going to be such an amazing deal. It's the RTX 3050 HP Victus 15. Since this is basically the cheapest gaming laptop you can buy on Best Buy's site, a lot of people might be roped into thinking, oh yeah, this will work. I mean, in theory, it'll play Fortnite over 100 frames per second. A lot of esports games, it'll play just fine. And it's good enough for that kind of application. But if you just spend like $100 more, you can get a so much better laptop, or like $50 more even. So it only comes with 8 gigs of RAM. That's another weakness to this one. And the screen quality is also 250 nits, 45% NTSC. So it's like a double, triple banger. Don't buy this one, in my opinion. Skip this one. So this one is going to go into the F tier, pretty much. Yeah, it's one of the probably only F tier ones today. This one is probably the banger you do want to buy. 16 gigs of RAM. Ryzen 5 7235HS, RTX 4050 with the Lock 15, Advanced Optimus, G-Sync. This thing has phenomenal value, $529. So yeah, this is S tier level deal. It's the cheapest 4050 money can buy. I don't know if it's top tier S tier, but it's definitely S tier. We can take a quick look at some of the photos. You got a number pad, full-size Aero keys. The build quality is not going to be amazing on the lock, but it's good enough, and it's going to get the job done. You're going to be able to play games and have a great time. Now, not very high color gamut on the display. That's probably the biggest weakness of this one, and so upgrading to the ones that are slightly better would probably still potentially be worth it. So I think the lock, it's going to go in the S tier, but maybe it should belong in the A tier because of the low quality screen. But we're going to put it in the S tier just for like, if you need a good basic laptop for the cheapest possible, that's the entry. That's the entry price, okay? HP Victus 15, this time with 16 gigs of RAM and RTX 4050 for not even $100 more. Like, this is such a better model of the Victus, a much better CPU. The 16 gigs of RAM will be so much better. It's a much better display. Better than the locked display, in my opinion. So this one's probably top tier, A tier, if not S tier, maybe a little further down, just because it's a little bit more expensive. So $549 for this guy. Next up, we have the Acer Nitro V16 with the Ryzen 5 240, and we get a 55, an RTX 55, which is going to be massively better than the RTX 4050 because you get 8 gigs of VRAM, more CUDA cores. You get a 180 hertz, 400 nits, 100% sRGB screen here. Advanced Optimus. I'm not sure about Advanced Optimus with Nitro series. It may just be regular Optimus. But overall, phenomenal value here for your money. Like if you're like after like top tier performance, good screen for your money, I'd put this one just in front of the lock. And I'm trying to put some budget deals at the top here. I don't know. Maybe this is probably the best bang for the buck one. I don't know. Let's get through these cheap ones, and we'll pick the best one and put it up at the top. Because I want at least one that's below like $700. Okay, Lenovo Lock 15, i5 13450HX, RTX 5050, $649. So this one versus the Acer, I'm tempted to go Acer, right? I don't know. This one, I think I would maybe the lock is still better here, but the screen is a lot better on the Nitro. Both have RTX 5050s, but the Nitro is also cheaper. So I'm thinking the Nitro still wins in this little comparison, but we'll put this Lock 15 right here on S tier as well. So far, the Nitro's the very best, I think, at the very top there. MSI Thin A15. Let's just quickly go through this so you can see the bigger screenshots as well of these laptops. 649. I like the build quality on this lock better than that other lock we were looking at. And a better screen here, 100% sRGB as well. So that definitely makes it a bit of a better buy. Okay, MSI Thin A15. This comes with a higher power limit, and it's an RTX 4060, which is actually a little bit better than the RTX 5050 by like, I don't know, 8 to 10%, somewhere in there. But the screen is a crappy Full HD 144 Hz 45% NTSC. So you get more gaming performance with the MSI Thin, worse quality screen. 679, probably the best GPU performance, but terrible screen. So I think we're just going to put this into A tier, because if you're after GPU performance, it's still worth considering. But so far, the Nitro is the king of these ultra budget machines. The Lock 17i, i5 13450HX, nice CPU, 5050 for the GPU. Full HD 165 Hz 300 nits display, 679. So if you're after a big machine, I'd say this one's worth considering. We're going to put it into the A tier near the MSI Thin. They're both very good, but just the value on it is not quite as good as the other laptops. But if you want a big laptop, then that's the one to go for. All right. Would you recommend the RTX 5090 or 5080? If you can afford the 5090, go for the 5090. It's worth it right now, I think. Yeah. All right. So that's all of the ones that are under $700. I think this Nitro V16 is my pick for the top tier in the ultra budget category. So we have our first SS rated laptop up there, okay? And here is the Nitro 15 RTX 5060. This is the cheapest RTX 5060 that money can buy. And it's gonna be, I think, a great all-arounder. Like, nothing terrible about this laptop, nothing like amazing necessarily. It's going to be a great all-around gaming performance with a decent enough screen, and it's a really cheap price at $849. So this one's definitely S tier, and since it's the cheapest 5060, we're going to put it into S tier somewhere in that upper S tier range. And really quick, let's also, yeah, okay, so we did take a look at this one. Next is the Acer Nitro V16 Core Ultra 7 240H Intel CPU, RTX 5060, 32 gigs of RAM. So again, RAM is expensive. This is 32 gigs of DDR5, and you get a Full HD 180 Hz 400 nits display. So significantly better display, significantly more RAM. If you need RAM at a budget, this is probably a great choice for you. I think this is at least A, if not upper S tier. We'll put it S tier further back. You know, like these laptops, we got a lot of S tier. I don't know. Maybe it's upper A. I don't know. Maybe we're putting too many into the S tier right now. Legion 5 Ryzen 7 260 RTX 5060, and you get 165 Hertz QHD Plus OLED. I think it's the only QHD Plus OLED for under $1,000, which that alone puts it into S tier. Maybe this is the SS tier, or like the very top of S tier for the RTX 5060 laptops. I would definitely pick the Legion 5 over the Lock series for build quality and other things. So we're going to put this into the SS tier for now. Maybe we'll put a few more laptops than 5 up there, but I think we'll see. All right, Asus TUF. Let's quickly take a look at the card for the Legion 5. So better build quality on the Legion 5. QHD 165 Hz OLED. It's going to be a really nice all-around machine, moderately portable, but thicker than some of the thin machines for sure, but a great keyboard, plastic trackpad, and great overall bang for the buck. Legion 5 with the OLED at 1,000, that's probably the laptop I would buy if I had $1,000. Asus TUF F16, i7-14650H, RTX 5050, only 16 gigs of RAM, and it's a full HD. You know, if you're after an Asus TUF 16:10 aspect ratio display with good build quality, pretty light and portable, the TUF F16 is good. I'm going to put it right into the middle of A. It's good. It's nothing that amazing, in my opinion. Alienware Aurora 16, Intel Ultra 7 240H, RTX 5060, 1 terabyte SSD, and we get a QHD plus 120 hertz. Let's take a quicker look. Here's that F16 as well, for those of you that are curious about it. Nice port selection on the F16, and I really like the design as well. Alienware Aurora, you get that QHD plus 120 hertz, 300 nits display, a number pad. The ports, no ports on the right side, all on the rear and the left side. It's an Alienware for $1,000 with a decent display. It's all right. It's a good deal. I wouldn't say it's an amazing deal. I'd put it into mid-tier A. Let me check chat. Just making sure we're good. All right. Moving on. Let's go to the next one. HP Omen 16, Intel Core Ultra 7 255H, RTX 5060, 1 terabyte, full HD plus 144 hertz. Yeah. Good, but nothing amazing. Like the Legion is just such a better laptop for the money. I'm going to put this into B. And let's pop over here and take a quick look at the photos for the Omen 16. I'm putting it into B. I mean, it's plastic chassis. It's a nice laptop. I'm not saying it's not a nice laptop, but just the specs for the money, especially since it's only 62% sRGB, maybe it should go down to C. I don't know, because of that display. Displays are a really big weakness for certain laptops in the budget range especially when you get an OLED instead of a crappier 144 hertz IPS 62% sRGB display. I mean, come on. So much better to get the OLED. All right, Asus TUF F16, i7-14650HX, RTX 5060, 32 gigs of RAM this time, so a nice RAM upgrade and a CPU upgrade compared to the last one. I would say this one's definitely better than the previous F16, but not by much. We're just going to slide it a few slots up higher on A. HP Omen 16 Slim, Intel Core Ultra 7 255H, RTX 5060, 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD, and a full HD plus 165 hertz. I mean, it's not, it's not any better than the last one, really. I guess the display is better, 400 nits, 100% sRGB, but that's really not that amazing of a deal. We're going to put it into B tier. I mean, it's a good price. It's just there's better laptops on the market for the money. All right, Gigabyte Aero X16. This guy has an AI Ryzen 7 350, RTX 5060, 1 terabyte SSD, QHD plus 165 hertz, 400 nits, 100% sRGB display. So QHD plus display on a budget with 400 nits on that sucker, it's nice. I'm not saying it's not nice. And the other thing is it's very thin. This Aero is like very thin. So if you're after a portable, lightweight 16-inch for school, then this is a good option. I think it's worth considering. I'm going to put it into an upper A tier for the Aero. Acer Nitro V16 SAI. Ryzen 7 260, RTX 5060, 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, QHD plus 180 hertz, 400 nits display. Acer's got the better displays this year in the budget segment, except for that Lenovo Legion with the OLED. But yeah, this is quite nice for the money. I think this is S tier, I think. Let's see, this is another very similar model. This one's 5070. So this is the cheapest 5070 we've seen. I think this one's S tier, and I think this one with the 5060 and 632 gigs of RAM. So when you compare these two, one has a 5070, the other has a 5060, but upgraded RAM. I would say the RAM is probably A tier, and the 5070 is S tier, because it's the cheapest 5070 on the market. Legion 5i, i7 14700HX, very nice CPU, RTX 5060, 16 gigs of RAM, QHD plus OLED. So a 5060 with an i7, how does this stack up against this other Legion 5? Well, they have the same OLED display, but this one has a much better CPU. And it's a 5i. I think it's slightly better build quality. I don't know. It might be worth the extra money, but I'd say they're both S tier at least for these Legion 5. All right. And let's pop over to take a look at these in more detail. Acer Nitro V16. So nice strength with the RAM and the display quality. And then of course it's very slim and light as well. So another great option for those of you looking to get something very portable. And here's that 5070 for the cheapest 5070 on the market. I really like that. The Legion 5i, I believe this is this a metal, all metal build on this one? I don't know. Rocky's dancing around, be right behind my laptop. I'm hoping he doesn't unplug anything. All right, Legion 5i. This one we put into the S tier. And now we're at the MSI Katana 15HX. So 16:9 aspect ratio display, plastic build quality, QHD plus 165 Hertz. I believe it's 100% DCI P3 when I tested it a couple years ago. It probably still is the same display. But it's tied for the cheapest RTX 5070 on the market at $1099. So very, very nice GPU performance for your money, but no advanced Optimus, no G-Sync on this laptop, but reasonable lightweight at 5.3 pounds. I mean, I would say that the Acer is just a better laptop, but this Katana is still a very good deal. So we're putting it into A. HP Omen 16 with the Ryzen 9 8940HX. This is the cheapest desktop class gaming laptop on the market. $1149, 32 gigs of RAM as well. If you're after like 16 cores, 32 threads with 32 gigs of RAM, this is it. Like, this is the cheapest one. There are going to be other options. There's a little bit more money for pretty similar specs, but the Omen 16 takes the cake for cheapest. And it's only a full HD plus 144 Hz 300 nits display. I'm thinking this is S tier because of that CPU, but I don't think it's like upper S tier. I think it's kind of more mid-range S tier. Like over here on the left is like the best of S tier. All right, so Asus TUF A16 Ryzen 9 270, RTX 5070, 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte, and a full HD 165 Hertz. You have Advanced Optimus and G-Sync on here with the Asus TUF. Build quality, CPU is not nearly as good as that Omen, but 5070 with 32 gigs is better. Well, I guess I think they both had 32 gigs. The CPU, though, is just not amazing. It's a decent CPU, though. All right, this is going to go into upper A tier. All right, it's good. It's very good, but it's not quite S tier deal. Acer Nitro V16S AI, Intel Core Ultra 7 240, 5070, 16 gigs, and it's a QHD plus 180 Hz 400 nits display. You know, some of those Legion deals that we had in that last run, they're not here anymore. They're gone. So like about 3 out of the 5 Legion 5 and 5 Pro deals are no longer available. So like if you're after some of the OLED displays, I would say get the ones that are still available while you can. All right, $1199 RTX 5070 QHD Plus. It's a very good deal. It's going to go into A tier. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of these screenshots. For these bigger laptops, here's that Dragon Range HP Omen. And here's the Asus TUF A16. Still a very nice laptop for what you're getting for the money. Acer Nitro V16, RTX 5070, 16 gigs DDR5, QHD Plus, very nice display. Then here's the Gigabyte Aero X16, this time with a 5070, but 1279. It just doesn't seem like it's as good a deal as the competition. We're going to put it into B tier. But still very good if you're after something super lightweight. Asus Zephyrus G14 with the Ryzen AI 9 270, RTX 5060, 16 gigs of soldered RAM at DDR5X 8000 mega transfer, so faster memory, super thin and light, CNC milled aluminum chassis, 1 terabyte SSD, only one M.2 slot in here, it's like a 2.8K 120 hertz OLED. It's fantastic. I actually have this laptop on the wall behind me, soon to be reviewed, or I did a comparison basically with this one against the MacBook Pro M5 in the last 3 live streams, or like a week ago basically for the 3 live streams. And I think this machine's amazing. It's got a much better than average speakers on it. The OLED's amazing. If you're after something like thin, light, portable, and cheap, that can do basically everything and play almost all the games. You'll have to turn some game settings down, obviously, because it's only a 5060 with a 3K resolution. But it'll still play everything on at least low, medium, if not ultra for most games, but mostly low, medium for the most demanding titles. It's still going to get the job done. And it's $1299 and it's ultra portable. This would be the laptop I would buy if I was going to be a college student or buying something for a college student. This would be the one. Unless they really need something that's higher performance and they don't mind carrying a thicker machine, then I would go for something different. But if you want an ultra portable for either business or school, this is the cheap option. There's going to be a more expensive option coming up later. Or you could go for the G16, which is like the thinner 16-inch version. And there's a few other thin and light laptops that you can consider as well. It's just this would be my top pick because of the total combination that it is. It's just a really, really well done ultra portable laptop. Checking chat. What time zone is Gizmo in? It's morning here in the UK. So I'm over here in Thailand. So I'm on Thailand time. So this is going to be at like 7 in the morning USA time. Getting the live stream done early on Black Friday so everyone in America can check it out. All right. Does anyone know if the Lock 17 is a good one or not? Yeah, I would recommend the Lock 17 that we had talked about earlier. It's on the list and linked in the description down below. If you're after a cheap 17-inch laptop, that's probably the good 17-incher to go. We have some 18-inch laptops about to be talked about. I think it might be one after next, I guess, probably. All right, Legion Pro 5. But we got to find a spot for this G14. It's going into S tier, probably upper S tier. And this is the cheapest price we've seen this all year as well. Legion Pro 5. So this is much better build quality. Per key RGB on the keyboard. And you get a Dragon Range 8945HX. RTX 5060 with a QHD Plus OLED. So Dragon Range, QHD Plus OLED, 1 terabyte SSD, top tier pick here for the mid-range. This might be the mid-range pick for today, unless you're going to step up to a 5070 Ti or better. Then, yeah, this is really, really good. And I do think it would be worth the money to upgrade to this guy. This might only be a 4-zone RGB keyboard. but it's gonna be a little bit better quality than the Legion 5. The Pro series always has better build quality. So this is gonna go into S tier because it's the Dragon range. It's got OLED, better build quality, nice combo all around. Okay, next up is Asus TUF A18. This is the budget 18-inch laptop on the list. If you're after an 18-inch laptop, this is the cheapest one. Now, I'm not saying it's the best one. We have another one coming up here. The Strix G18 as well is on sale. That has a really good price. And I think it'd be worth it over this one. But the A18, if you're after saving the most money, it's still going to be an excellent pick. Huge trackpad, 144 hertz, 300 nits, 100% sRGB display, advanced Optimus, G-Sync, and nice ports, good enough CPU, but it's only an RTX 5050, and that's probably the main reason why I would jump to the Strix series instead of the A18. All right, so this one is actually going to go into the A's here, not into S tier. MSI Vector A16 with the RTX 5070 Ti with the Dragon range 8940HX, QHD plus 240 hertz. This machine is the laptop of the day, probably the top tier of SS tier because it's thick, it's got a desktop class CPU with a QHD plus high quality display with a 5070 Ti. If I had $1,300, likely this would be the one I would pick for best performance. This is going to be the best performance, but there's no G-Sync and there's no advanced Optimus. And those two things are annoying to work around. So that's the main thing to keep in mind with this one. And I would say the build quality on some of the other laptops are going to be better, but in terms of value, this is SS tier for sure. All right, Alienware 16X Aurora, Intel Ultra 9 275HX. So this is the top tier chip from Intel, the desktop class chip, RTX 5060, 32 gigs of RAM. QHD plus 240 hertz, 100% DCI P3. This is a big upgrade over the other Alienware Aurora. And this is definitely S tier level value at $1,300. So we're gonna put this into S tier. I don't know that it's top tier S tier, but it's up there. Maybe it should be slid over into a little higher rank spot because it's really nice. Really nice value. It's just not as good on the GPU front as that MSI Vector. But likely to have a little better display, similar quality CPU. But yeah, like the Vector is without a doubt a better specs for your money. Asus Strix G16, stepping up now to the $1,400 price range. This one has phenomenal RGB lighting. You get a full HD plus 165 hertz 300 nits display, so not QHD. And that's not always a bad thing. If you're after really good performance in all the latest titles, sacrificing the resolution for a little bit lower resolution can, I think, boost the value you get in terms of like rendering things easier at native resolution on the monitor, you know? But I mean, with DLSS and upscaling, QHD is still my preferred resolution. And I think in general, at this price point, I probably would recommend a QHD laptop. Now, the main reason to consider this one is the 9955HX CPU, which is better than the other Dragon range. It's one step behind the X3D CPU. So it's the best of the best from Ryzen, except missing the 3D V cache. So really, really phenomenal. It's gonna get like 40,000 points in Cinebench R23, $1399. If you're after multi-core performance for your money, this one's great. And if you're after a great RGB, like high quality, build quality, it's gonna be really good as well. So this one, I would say, is probably top tier, A tier, I would say. I don't think it's quite S tier because of the display, If it had a better display, I would put it into S tier probably. All right, next is going to be the Strix G18 for $13.99. And so this is going to have the Dragon range, 8940HX. So not as high quality as the 9955HX, but it's a 18-inch chassis. So that's really nice. And yeah, 16 gigs DDR5 5600, 1 terabyte SSD, RTX 5060, $13.99. That's some phenomenal value all in all. And for $13.99, I would pick this over the A18. So if you're after a budget 18-inch laptop, this would be the one I would buy because you get a 5060 instead of a 5050, and you get a 1 terabyte SSD, and you get a Dragon range CPU. So the specs on this one are a lot better. All right, and so let's rank this one. The Strix G18, it's gonna go into S tier. 18-inch laptops usually cost a lot more. And the fact that we're getting an 18-inch with a Dragon range for that money is phenomenal value. Legion 5i with the i9-14900HX, it's a desktop class CPU with the RTX 5070, 16 gigs with an OLED and a 1 terabyte. 165 hertz QHD plus. So if you're after a Legion with a high-end CPU with an OLED and a 5070, it's good value. It's not as good as value as the Vector, but the OLED and the Advanced Optimus and the G-Sync adds a lot of value to it. So it's going into the S tier, but I don't think it's SS tier. MSI Vector HX AI, Intel Ultra 7 255, RTX 5070 Ti for $14.29. But this one has an Achilles heel compared to the other Vector. The other Vector had a QHD plus high quality display. This one has a full HD plus 144 hertz with only 45% NTSC or about 62% sRGB, which is terrible. So this one is going to go into the C tier, B tier. We're going to go B tier because the specs are so good. The specs are so good, but the display is so bad, I can't really recommend it over almost all these other deals. Razer Blade 14, Ryzen AI 9 365, RTX 5060, $14.49. Same display as the Zephyrus G14. Great build quality here as well. Phenomenal value. Really like this laptop as well, but it's a Razer, so you're getting a little bit different. And it costs more money in terms of value. It's still A tier. I wouldn't put it into S tier though, because the Zephyrus G14 is, I would say, basically just as good, but $150 cheaper. The Acer Predator Helios Neo 16 AI, Intel Ultra 9 275HX, RTX 5070, 32 gigs of DDR5 6400, 1 terabyte SSD, QHD plus, so you get a desktop class CPU, RTX 5070, 32 gigs of RAM. It's great value overall, but it's only a 5070, not a 5070 Ti, and it's still $1,500. So to me, this one is very good. Oh, this one's 5070 Ti. Which one? We have two of them. Where is this one? We might be missing the screenshot for this one. Let's see here. Yeah, so this one, let me just make sure this one's also still on sale. Oh, it went down in price by $50. Okay. Yeah, this one was SS tier at $1,500. Now it's $50 cheaper. It's going to go into the SS tier just immediately. So let's knock this one down by $50, and we'll refresh that. And then we are going to grab the screenshot for this one so we can drag it in. There we go. All right. So this one is going to be the top of our S tier, I think. It's a way better laptop than the Vector. And it's only $150 more. I don't know if it's a way better laptop, but it's got some of the nicer features. It's thinner, it's lighter, and I think the build quality is a little bit better as well. So yeah, I would pick that over the Vector if you can swing a little bit more money. Now, the Acer Predator Helios Neo 16 worse GPU, 5070 to a 5070 Ti is a big downgrade. But everything else is very nice in this laptop. The thing is, this one, just since it's only a 5070, and it's this much, I feel like it's almost like a C tier or a B tier. Let's put it into C tier because it's just not that good of a value. Let's talk about this Acer Predator Helios Neo 16S. That's the top of our SS tier right now. Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX. So you get a desktop class CPU in a very thin and light chassis, which is just going to provide amazing CPU performance for your money. It only weighs 5 pounds. It's very thin with a big old buck nose or tail at the end here. I don't know what you call that, a duck bill. And I did get hands-on with this one. I didn't test it, but you got a QHD Plus 240 Hz OLED 500 nits, 32 gigs of DDR5 6400, and the RTX 5070 Ti, all for $1449. This is such a better value than the Vector, in my opinion, because of the OLED display upgrade, as well as the Intel CPU upgrade. And it's thin, and it's only $150 more. So I would pick this over the Vector if it was my money. But the Vector is also phenomenal value because you also get the Dragon Range CPU, and it's a thicker system, so you can push the power limits to a higher level, with that thicker system. So that's why the Vector is probably going to give you a little bit better performance still. HP Omen Transcend 14 is next. Let me just check chat real quick. I found out the 5060 of this model, the non-S version, is very cheap. Is it worth buying? I'm not sure which model you're talking about. You gotta be more specific. Hydra Hashan says, ROG Strix G16 2025, Ultra 9 with the 5060, only 16 gigs of RAM, but 1 terabyte storage, 240 Hz, for $1425. $1425 with only a 5060? Maybe. I mean, that's a good deal because you get the QHD plus 240 Hz display with the Intel chassis. It probably is toolless for opening the chassis more easily. So that's a good deal, Hydra Hashem, but I don't think it's as good a deal as some of the other ones we're seeing here. I just ordered the Legion Pro 7 9955 HX3D 5080. I feel very excited. Congratulations. That's going to be one of the top laptop deals. It's more expensive than it was. The deal is a little bit worse now than it was a few days ago, but it's still a banger of a deal. HP Omen Transcend 14. This is like a worse Zephyrus G14, but still a very nice all-around machine. Only powered with USB-C though, so the power limits on the CPU, GPU are just not going to be as good, especially when under a dual load. $1549 undercuts the value on the G14 by a little bit, but it's just not as good of a laptop. So, well, we're going to put it into A tier, but end of A tier. Asus Strix G16 8940HX RTX 5070 Ti. $1599. So Dragon Range with a 5070 Ti, only a Full HD Plus display though. So, I mean, Full HD Plus is not the end of the world, but it's not great, especially for 1600. I would pick a QHD laptop over this one. Let's quickly go through some of the screenshots here for some of the latest laptops we were talking about. All right, let's see here. All right, here's the HP Omen, only powered with USB-C, and there's only 2 USB-Cs. Ports are very minimal, very nice build quality, built like a tank. Mushy keyboard, in my opinion, not per key. Nice trackpad, Windows Hello, great display, and very thin, light, and portable. But the G14 is just better. So don't buy this one, probably, unless the G14 prices are no longer on sale and that one is. Then maybe consider it. $15.99, Asus Strix G16, Ryzen 9 8940HX, Dragon Range, 5070 Ti. This is one we just talked about. Very, very good, but it's only a full HD. And we got better laptops for the money, but this is one of the best ones, the best deals from Asus. All right. Go back one. There. All right. So next up, Razer Blade 16 with the Ryzen AI 9 365 RTX 5060, 16 gigs to DDR5X 8000, 1 terabyte SSD, QHD plus 240 Hz OLED. So the main thing here is that we're looking at a Razer Blade 16, which is like kind of like an ultra premium chassis in my opinion, built, I would say, a little bit better than the Zephyrus G16. Per key RGB on the keyboard that's super bright and vibrant, glass trackpad, glossy OLED, very, very good ports, and very good speakers. So this thing, if you're after a thin and light 16-inch, this is one of the very, very best ones you could possibly ever consider, regardless of price. And usually Razer is a lot more expensive. Nowadays, they're having to drop the price down because the Zephyrus is kind of undercutting them a lot. And this is a really good Black Friday sale for $15.99 on a Razer. So if you're after a Razer and a Blade 16, this was like the best Blade 16 price config, I think. But it's only a 5060 for $1,600. It's just, you're getting a Razer though, and it's an OLED QHD 240 Hz. So it's a really nice machine for your money. I'm gonna put it into S tier because of the build quality the Razer has. Tempted to dock it to A tier because of the crappy support that Razer has. Razer Blade 14, Ryzen AI 9 365, RTX 5070, 32 gigs of RAM as well on this unit, $16.99. The Zephyrus G16, or sorry, the Zephyrus G14, again, I would consider just a little bit better, but this one's actually cheaper than the 5070 version of the G14, I think, right now. So it's actually a very, very good deal for a 14-inch 5070. And as long as it's cheaper than the G14 5070, then I would say I would consider buying the Blade 14 over the G14, only if it's cheaper. So we're going to put this into upper A as a situational buy, depending on what the G14 sale price is. And if you're wanting a 5070, the thing is, I would just rather go for a G14 with a 5070 Ti because it's such a more powerful GPU. I would rather pay $300 more for the massive performance uplift that a 5070 Ti provides. Asus Strix G16, Ryzen 9 9955HX with the RTX 5070 Ti, 32 gigs, DDR5 5600, QHD plus 240 Hz, 100% DCI P3, 1859. So Dragon Range, top of the line, no X3D here, but a 5070 Ti with a great CPU, GPU, enough RAM, very, very, very nice all-arounder. I would say probably S tier, but low S tier, not top of the line S tier. All right. Vector 16HX with the RTX 5080. We're into the 5080 category now. Only $18.99 is a phenomenal value. It's just such an excellent value because the 5080 is going to have 16 gigs of VRAM. This chassis will be able to push a high amount of TDP to that 5080 for great performance. Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX desktop class CPU with a QHD 240 Hz display. This is S tier, top of S tier, maybe SS tier. Really, really love the overall package that comes with. There's the Blade 14, the Strix G16, Vector 16 right there. That's what we're talking about. So, I mean, just the GPU performance and value you're getting for your money, it's unparalleled. Well, not unparalleled. There's another one that's very close to it. But for only $500 more, you get the upgrade from the 5070 Ti to the 5080. And you get just, it's a great all-arounder. No G-Sync, no Advanced Optimus. And because it's an Intel desktop class, you can get more battery life out of it than the Dragon range from AMD. So maybe a little better for battery life than some of the other Dragon range CPUs out there. But I think that's the main reason to consider Intel desktop for the HX series versus the HX series from AMD. Is just the battery life will be a little bit better on the Intel chips usually. So yeah, that's top of S-Class currently. Then we also have the HP Omen Max 16 with the Ryzen AI 9 375. And this is the RTX 5080 with 16 gigs of DDR5, 1 terabyte SSD, and a QHD Plus OLED, I believe, for $1899. So this one's really great, but I would rather get the one with the OLED. All right, and this the HP Omen Max 16 has reviewed quite well. Metal chassis, good port selection. You get, the main downside here is that it's not the desktop class CPU. So significantly worse CPU performance, significantly better battery life. Let me just double check the CPU because I feel like that might be just a typo. This says HX 375. Yeah, so I guess 375, the higher end AI 9. But yeah, $1899. Linked in the description. Holy smokes, that's still a very, very, very good battery, very good value. Oh, is it OLED? Is it maybe not OLED? Let's see here. This might not be the OLED option. This looks like it might just be the IPS panel. Because the HP Omen Max has an IPS and then it also has an OLED version. But it looks like the higher quality IPS, 500 nits, 100% sRGB. So, and a QHD 240 hertz still. I would pick this one over the Vector because of the fact that it's like thinner, lighter, better battery life. Unless you're just after pure performance, then the Vector might be a little better. But you know, I believe this one also has Advanced Optimus and G-Sync support. So that's two things that the Vector doesn't have right there that would make this one have better value in my book. $1899 for this guy, which is just, that's fantastic. This is definitely an S tier, if not SS. It's a trade-off compared to the Vector, you know? A mobile laptop CPU versus desktop CPU, but thinner, lighter, better battery life. Still fantastic choice. Zephyrus G14 with the Ryzen AI 9 HX370, RTX 5070 Ti, 32 gigs of RAM, and you get that OLED 120 hertz in a super thin and light portable system, $1999. I made this in SS tier last time, and it probably deserves to be an SS tier again. Yeah, it's just the best ultra portable gaming laptop money can buy for the value for the money and the all around. Zephyrus G16 with the Intel Core Ultra 9. So this is the slightly bigger, 2 inches larger G16, and I do like a bigger laptop better. I just did a comparison between the G14 and G16. If you haven't checked that out, it's on the channel. Better speakers here, a little bit better thermals, and the wrist rest does not get warm on the G16. So that's the main reasons I choose the 16 over the G14, and I'm actually using this laptop as my personal laptop right now for the next little while, maybe through CES, I don't know. I'm switching laptops. I'm trying to use a laptop for about 2 to 3 months to really get a feel for it, but this is going to go into the top of S tier. I don't think it's quite SS tier, but it's very, very good. MSI Stealth A16, Ryzen AI 9, RTX 5080, 32 gigs of DDR5 X 7500, and a QHD Plus 240 hertz OLED for $2200. And I would pick maybe the Stealth A16 over the Zephyrus, maybe. No Advanced Optimus, no G-Sync, it's MSI, but The 240 hertz OLED mixed with the 5080 for only a few bucks more. You pay, when you compare these two, it's a 5070 Ti versus a 5080, and both very similar in terms of sizing, build quality, power limits, but you get the upgraded silicon of the 5080. And just about everything else about the laptop is going to be very, very similar. So, I mean, maybe I would still pick the Zephyrus, maybe. I don't know. I haven't got enough hands-on time with the Stealth, but this looks like a very, very nice machine as well. So this would be a toss-up for me. Better GPU, but probably lower build quality. Probably the speakers aren't quite as good, and no advanced Optimus or G-Sync. So those would be the reasons to not pick the Stealth, but better silicon, and it's only 20 bucks more. Like, I would say these are just like neck and neck with one another, both to the top of S tier right here. So they're very, very good. Oh man, we may need to shift some stuff around. Okay, Acer Predator Helios Neo 18 275HX with RTX 5070 Ti. One of the cheapest 18 inchers with a 5070 Ti. The main thing here, 64 gigs of RAM with a 2 terabyte SSD. For your money, that's some really nice specs. $23.99 though, and it's a big, beefy, honkin' monster machine. Looks like the last generation version of the chassis as well for 2023, 2024 version of the Neo 18 instead of the flashier 2025 version of the Helios 18. So yeah, it's a QHD 250 hertz mini LED as well. So you get the mini LED, 2400, and 64 gigs of RAM. If you need 64 gigs of RAM, this is the first laptop, I believe, in our list that has 64 gigs of RAM. And a 2 terabyte SSD upgrade as well. So $23.99, looking fantastic value-wise, but not like, it's looking fantastic value-wise for an 18-incher, but it's situational, so it's going into A. If you need an 18-incher, your budget's around $2,400, that may be your best option, right around that $2,400 mark. Okay, this was the #1 laptop from the first tier list we did, the Legion Pro 7 with the Ryzen 9 9955HX 3D with the 5080, 32 gigs of RAM, and a QHD Plus 240 Hz OLED. Now the thing is, this went up in price by a little bit over $100 compared to the last time we did it, but it's still the best gaming CPU on the market with an RTX 5080. Can't get this with a 5090. So dumb. Why can't you get this with a 5090? I don't know. Lenovo, what are you doing? Offer this with a 5090. That said, 9955HX 3D with a 5080 for this price point is absolutely, definitely SS tier. I'm not sure if it's top of SS tier this time because it went up in price, but it's still at the SS tier without a doubt. Acer Predator Helios 16AI. This is the new chassis. All right, let's briefly look at the Legion Pro 7i. Fantastic build quality, per key RGB, great port selection, fancy RGB on the back, and the best CPU on the market for gaming. Poor battery life though compared to the Intel chip. So that's the main downside. Fantastic overall value and just a crazy bang for the buck for the specs you're getting. Now, the Acer Predator Helios 16AI is the cheapest RTX 5090 laptop I could find after looking through many different websites. Today, $28.99. This dropped down in price $100 compared to the last tier list, so even better value. And it's got that 24 gigs of VRAM with the 5090. So if you're after doing AI with like 24 gig VRAM models, then this is going to be like the cheapest 5090. QHD Plus 240 Hz OLED, 500 nits. You got the new fancy RGB on the front left corner as well as on the wrist rests on the right side. Per key RGB, and it's a thick chassis with full power limits. Intel 275HX CPU, so a little bit better battery life. I did get hands-on with this at CES last year. I did like the hands-on with it. I wish Acer would send me one for me to actually test in person, but fantastic overall value because it's the cheapest 5090 currently on the list. I don't think it's quite S tier. I'm going to put it into mid A tier. Because it's a 5090. You know, it's the cheapest 5090, but it's not a top tier 5090 model. And it's less tested because there's not as many reviews of that unit out. And that's just, it's not great. You know, when you're buying a laptop and there's not very many reviews of it, it's kind of a little dicey feeling, you know. So if you buy that, make sure you buy it from a place you can return it if it turns out to be crappy. Oh, here's the Acer Predator Helios Neo 16 AI that we were missing earlier. Ryzen Intel Ultra 9 275HX RTX 5070 Ti, but this one's just not as good a value as the other Helios 16S. So this is going to go into B tier. All right, next, Razer Blade 18. Razer Blade 18. Intel Ultra 9 275HX RTX 5080. 32 gigs of DDR5 5600, dual UHD 240Hz and 440Hz display. So this one's on sale like over $1,000 off right now. I do think this is, if you're after like the most portable 18-inch laptop, this is still the most portable 18-inch laptop. There is now a thermal bump underneath the bottom to give you more power, which is a really cool design choice. Just know that you got a little bit of extra space down here that makes it hard to calculate its total volume. And you have a number pad this year. So 2 upgrades there. This is the RTX 5080 version, 32 gigs of DDR5 5600. And if you're after a high quality 4K display, this one's a great all-arounder. Hard to complain about much on here, especially when it's on sale right now for $3,100. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it's Razer. It's like their top tier Razer. I'm putting this into S tier. I don't think it's SS tier, but it's S tier deal. Super premium laptop at a very reasonable price. Legion 9i is finally on sale. Jiminy Christmas. Like, why? Finally on sale. $3,100 for an RTX 5080. You get the UHD 240Hz display, not 3D. This is not the 3D version. But you get a 5080 with the Legion 9i, some of the best performance on the market with the best battery life in an 18-inch chassis. And I would say this is right up there with that Blade 18, probably, if you're after an 18-inch. Let's see here. There's 2. Let's just compare these real quick. So there's the 2 configs that you can get on the Legion 9i. I put them both in here, as well as the Blade 18. And here's the Blade 18. All right, so the Legion 9i, you get both with a 5090. The Legion 9i is cheaper. The Legion 9i should provide a little bit more performance. The Blade 18 will be a lot more portable. Both have maybe even the exact same display. Both have the same CPU, GPU. 32 gigs of memory for sure included in this one, and I'm not sure if this one has 64. I think this one may have 64 on the Blade 18. We can pop over to Razer's store to confirm if it auto upgrades to 64 or not. But the Blade 18 and the Legion 9i are, in my opinion, probably the 2 best 18-inchers, probably. And I actually have the Legion 9i right here. I'm testing the last 2 days. I've been testing the 3D display out on it, and it's really cool, but it's pretty dang buggy too. So I don't know that I would really recommend the 3D display necessarily, and this sale is not the 3D display version. So you have to actually pay significantly more if you're going to go with the Legion 9i and get the 3D display. It's going to be like $5,000 instead of $3,800. So don't get the 3D display right now unless the 3D display version also goes on sale. But yeah, let's check this out. So if you go to the 5090, that does not upgrade the RAM automatically, but it upgrades the SSD. Okay, so overall, I would get the Legion 9i unless you value portability significantly. Then maybe get the Blade 18 instead. And whether you get the Legion or the Razer, I would recommend upgrading to the premium version of their support because it's going to be a lot better. All right, so we're going to bump these three down to A. And we're going to put these three all together at the end of S tier. Because if you're after the top 18-inch laptops, I think these are the best deals. We haven't really seen a sale on the Scar 18. I would consider that one a very top tier 18-incher as well, but currently just no deals there. Now, if you're after value in an 18-inch, the Acer Predator Helios 18 AI is cheaper. The 5090 version is going to be significantly cheaper than the other two Razer or Legion 9i, but it's only 120 hertz UHD plus, and it's not dual mode, and there's no 3D capability here, but you are getting 64 gigs with a 2 terabyte SSD, and it's a 5090, and it's got the new 2025 chassis, so lots to like here, especially if you're after a 5090 18-inch that's more value. This is the value 18-inch out of the three. So if you're after deals, this is going to be the deal, but I probably would put this into A tier. We're out of space in the A tier. I don't know where to put it. We're going to put it into A tier though. So swing, we'll put it right at the front of A tier. All right, and the last but not least, we have the Scar 16 Intel Ultra 9 275HX 5090 with the anime matrix on the back, RGB logo, 360-degree RGB lighting. This is the fanciest, flashiest laptop on the list. QHD 240 Hz mini LED with lots of dimming zones, very minimal bloom. Fully toolless in terms of its chassis. You can upgrade the RAM, SSD, Wi-Fi card, all without any tools. Port selection is good. Display is excellent. Thermal's also going to be good. So, Advanced Optimus and G-Sync. And it's $35.99. I would put this above the A. I would have put this above the Predator, but probably also in A. So, boom. Boom. Maybe it's S. It's right up there, okay? But, 5090s, generally speaking, are also just not very good value as a general rule. So how about we bump these three down to B, okay? And then we can slide everything over to make everything nice and neat. So that's our tier list for today. Let's review our top 10 laptops for today. Okay, top 10 Black Friday deals. Let's do a breakdown. We've done a detailed tier list of all of the available deals, and this is what we've got. So our top 5 are right here. All right, and then that's actually our top 6, and then we'll grab our next 4 deals down. So these will be our top 10 deals for Black Friday. We'll do them, let's rank them first, and then we'll organize them a little bit better. So this is let's put these, yeah, there's all roughly the right size, okay. All right, so let's rank these from very, very best to worst. And we've got price range. We got the whole price range covered. The very, very best budget under $700 is the Nitro V16 here. Let's see here. So, yeah. All right. Okay, I think the Legion Pro 7i with the 9955HX is still probably the very, very best. I'm going to make these, can I set these and layer them? I'm going to say bring to front. That way they are always in the front. All right. So here is our number one laptop, the Legion Pro 7i. Still is the best because it's got the best CPU that'll give you more performance, and it's only $2444. So if you're after the best performance with the really good price tag, I still think it's the very, very best. Acer Predator Helios Neo 16S with an RTX 5070 Ti and a QHD Plus. This is going to be our second best deal because it's got, I believe it's a mini LED. It's an OLED, 32 gigs of RAM, and it's $1449, and it's in a slim and light system. So I'm going to put that at number 2. All right. Legion 5i can be our number 3. And I think this one's a good number 3 because it's so much value. You get an OLED for $1,000 with a 5060. The CPU is nothing special, but it's $1,000 for an OLED that'll be a great all-around performer. All right. Best GPU value for your money is gonna be the Vector A16 with the Ryzen 9 8940HX Dragon Range desktop class CPU with an RTX 5070 Ti. Only 16 gigs of RAM, but it's upgradable, so you can pop in new SODIMM slots in there and get some nice upgrades. So nothing wrong with that at all. All right, so that's our top 4. Let's go with next. Next is gonna be, I think we should go with the budget. You know, the Acer Nitro V16 AI. This thing is only $629, and it'll play every single game on ultra settings, period, right now. Like, yeah, it's going to be fantastic. As long as you put it to DLSS on quality, or maybe even DLAA, depending on the title, max settings at Full HD Plus, it's going to cruise through everything. 8 gigs of VRAM at Full HD resolution, it's fantastic. And it's got good build quality. All right. I think if you're after an ultra portable, I think the Zephyrus G14 for $1999 is just an amazing value for your money. The main downside here is the wrist rest gets really warm. So that's main caution to anyone that's looking at, you know, the G14. And if you're after something that does not have a warm wrist rest, the Zephyrus G16 has better speakers, better thermals, and it only costs $180 more. Now, if you're after more gaming chops, more performance, then getting something like these RTX 5080s for the next 3. All 3 of them have an RTX 5080. The Stealth A16, a very portable, lightweight chassis, 32 gigs of DDR5 with a QHD 240Hz OLED. Fantastic value for your money. You've got the HP Omen Max. No OLED here, but it's got the RTX 5080 at 175 watts for $1899 in a very portable metal chassis. So again, lots of value, lots of good stuff going on with that one as well, especially for the money. And last but not least, we have the MSI Vector. Let me scoot this to the front. MSI Vector 16HX with the Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX RTX 5080. And you get the QHD 240Hz IPS display for $1899. So another high performance, high quality machine for your money at $1899. And so much silicon for your money there. You know, desktop class, like my recommendation is you either go ultra portable because you're a very portability focused person, always on the go, or you go for a thicker machine that gives you a lot more performance while still being portable. So desktop class HX chip with an RTX 5070 Ti or 5080 or greater is my recommendation. And so the fact that, you know, when you look at the Helios here, you're getting the desktop HX chip with a 5070 Ti with a OLED for $1449. That hits all those bells and whistles while still being pretty dang portable. It's a great blend. And if you're after the most possible performance for around $2,500, then the Legion Pro 7i, or sorry, the Pro 7, the I version would be Intel. This is the Pro 7 AMD version. This one takes the cake. And it's 175 watts. I don't know why it's marked at 140, but yeah, it's just a typo right there. And if you're after like the value stuff, these other price points are still going to give you a great laptop for your money. So whether you are going for something that's only 630 bucks, 1,000 bucks, 1,300 bucks, we got something for you at just about every single price range here. And if you're after the different price ranges and you want to see all kinds of different options out there, be sure to watch the full live stream and see all the different price ranges. It goes from cheapest to most expensive, this video does, so you can kind of jump around to your approximate price range and then look for those very best models. Now, there are links in the description. Again, if you want to help support me and my team as a content creator and reviewer, I try my best to help you guys out to get the best value for your money, to get the best laptop for your money, a laptop that will last you a long time and really give you the most value, you know? Because I mean, I know right now a lot of people are penny pinching and trying to make sure they don't overspend or they don't waste their money on a product that won't be amazing. And I hope these products will be amazing, especially for the money spent. So you'll be able to buy something, you'll be like, yes, this was money well spent. So yeah, affiliate links down below, that'll help support me and my team. And thank you so much if you do use them. So I hope this tier list was helpful for everybody. I'm going to check chat one more time before we end this, but let me go ahead and answer some questions. Okay, so starting at the top of where I last answered questions. Hey, I just ordered the Legion Pro 7 9955 HX 3D 5080. I feel very excited. I'm upgrading from the RTX 2070 Super. Wow, that's going to be a huge upgrade. Enjoy that, sir. Is the CPU on the Neo 16S you put in S tier with the 5070? Let's see here. Let's see, where is it? Where are you? Okay, is the CPU in the Neo 16S you put in SS tier with a 5070 good for esports? Yeah. The HX desktop CPUs are the best of Intel chips for esports, and yeah, they'll get like 500 FPS in Fortnite on lower settings. So yeah. Doesn't the Lenovo have a modded 5080? So the RTX 5080 in the Legion series just performs better than the other 5080 and 5090 laptops on the market. Whether it's officially shunt modded to have a little bit more wattage or not is really hard for us to know, but we just know it performs better. And I believe, to the best of my knowledge, like if I were to say yes or no, I'm guessing yes. It's probably shunt modded to a slightly higher wattage. There's no AMD Advantage laptops. Nope, pretty much not. The only laptop, the top AMD chip right now is, I think, the Strix Point or Strix Halo, which is in like the Flow Z13. And I'm hoping it goes to more laptops in 2026. But that one has a good enough GPU in it to be able to play almost everything, kind of like an RTX 5050. And then it's got a lot of VRAM, and it's a 16-core, 32-thread part. So, I think that's kind of the AMD Advantage laptop chip right now, but it's in so few systems that it's kind of silly. So, I mean, I'm hoping they'll come out with a Strix Halo 2.0, like the Strix Halo 2, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it, and it'll have an even better integrated GPU and, I don't know, even better 16-core, 32-thread. How do I find this Acer Predator deal in the UAE, dude? I don't know. Good luck. The Acer here is like $1,800. That's still pretty good value, honestly. How are you supposed to find these deals in other countries? I'm not sure. You know, you got to look around your shops and you may not be able to. Black Friday is like mostly an American deals thing, which kind of sucks. But that's, you know, that's the reality. But yeah, I would say $1,800 for that Acer Predator Helios Neo 16S, like the number 2 rated one. That's still very good. That's still very, very good. So, because that's basically like a upgraded Zephyrus G16, and it still is undercutting the G16 at 1,800. So, yeah. All right, last question. Siley says, should I get the Strix G16 with a 5080 or the Scar 16 with a 5070 Ti? They're around the same price. Well, the 5080 is going to be a faster system for sure, but the Scar 16 or the 5070 Ti is still going to be quite fast. It depends on what you would prioritize. Do you want a mini LED display and the fancier RGB with like the anime matrix on the back, or do you want to get a more powerful GPU? Because I mean, that's also the factor you got to keep in mind for the other laptops on the market, right? Like there are cheaper options that don't have as flashy a RGB. The Scar 16 is kind of the RGB, and the mini LED display are the main draw to the Scar series. So is 90C thermals on the 9955HX 3D bad? I don't think that's bad. I think you'll be just fine. If you want lower temperatures, then you can lower the power limit to artificially limit your performance. If you want to have lower temperatures and better performance, then yeah, you can get something like a laptop cooler. In my recent laptop cooler test, we saw a drop of up to 21 degrees Celsius in CPU temperatures. So very significant CPU temperature drops when you are using a laptop cooler like the Lenovo cooling pad. So I definitely can highly recommend that Lenovo cooling pad. There might be other options on the market that'll also be a little bit better price, but the Lenovo cooling pad was really nice because you can actually plug it into your laptop, and the laptop's actual temperatures, like on the CPU, GPU, can actually control the laptop cooling pad and the RPMs on the laptop cooling pad. So it acts like a giant internal fan basically for your laptop without you having to mess with the laptop cooler. So it'll ramp the fan and turn it up and down depending on how much system is being utilized, which I thought was a really cool feature. All right, so that's it for now. I'll see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop a like, hit that subscribe button for tons of upcoming reviews. Trying to put out videos like multiple a week, and I'm definitely going to CES in 2026, so I'll be able to take a look at all of the new laptops coming out then. So